So I want to start by kind of just talking about a little bit about our credentials in this area. So English Online is British Council's global scalable training solution. It's a portfolio of online courses that we can deliver at scale at anywhere in the world. We have our international teachers and trainers who have been expertly trained to deliver English and teach online, and then we bring our world-class content, British Council's content on this. And we offer a range of different learning models. So it's self-study, blended learning, live learning solutions, and a range of different content, right from general or business English to soft skills and IELTS preparation. And we've got, summative assessments. We've got different kinds of dashboards for learners, for even if there's a client involved, their clients, targeted feedback, and all of that to make our learning outcomes more impactful and deliver to a high standard. And we're available through web browsers and a smartphone app. And last I checked, we had learners from over 115 countries. So we have a lot of, we've learned a lot having these thousands of learners, tens of thousands of learners in these many countries. And what I want to share with you today is some of our learning in making online programs more impactful. So I know there's just a few of us, but perhaps we could use the chat to kind of just brainstorm a few thoughts. So what do you think are the problems that we're trying to solve for when we use online learning? Why would someone use online learning, and what would they be aiming for? If you've got any ideas, feel free to type into the chat. Yeah, absolutely. Convenience. Yes, Melanie. Yeah, you can work at your own pace. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, affordability as well. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Yeah, flexible timings, absolutely. All of these are very, very valid points. So, in my experience of kind of talking to learners, talking to um, you know, our clients and universities and companies around the world, it's very similar to what you all have suggested here. There are a few things that we've identified. So the first and foremost is to deliver impact against what their learning objective is. No one wants to deploy a training or learning solution that isn't impactful, that doesn't meet requirements. There is an element of simplifying and being able to scale operations. So uh, you know be able to deliver to a large number of people, automate, and that lends itself well to simplifying things from an operational perspective. Increasing reach, so being able to reach a larger number of people in many different locations, and affordably so, and then offering flexibility, so being able to learn at your own pace, flexible timings, all of that. Personalization, so personalizing to learners' individual preferences, allowing for cross collaboration, especially if there are learners in different locations who wouldn't have the opportunity to meet each other in a face-to-face context. Online learning is perfect for that. And then obviously affordability, reducing delivery costs. So these are problems that we all are trying to solve using online learning. Now, what are the challenges with online learning programs? I mean, what are your experiences with it, and what are your thoughts around it? Why don't you put something into the chat? If you have ever either experienced online learning or delivered online learning or organized it, what challenges have you faced? Yeah, lack of human interaction, lack of physical interaction, assessment. All right, yeah, great. So all of these are valid, and kind of what we've identified are four things, and they kind of sort of fall within these four things. First is when you when we try and yeah, limited feedback, absolutely. So the first challenge is if we just simply repack what we're doing in a traditional face-to-face context, and a kind of lecture-based non-interactive context into online learning, it doesn't work. It kind of it exactly, it kind of feels there isn't enough feedback, there isn't enough interaction. If there isn't enough trainer interaction, uh, especially if you're delivering almost everything asynchronously, that can be a challenge and can demotivate students as well. Um, Students have different levels of digital skills and study skills, and that could be an issue. And then kind of motivation as well could be an issue. Um, so these are kind of challenges that have been identified, at least with our experience, and I'm going to talk through how we've overcome these challenges, and these kind of these themes that will emerge out of this presentation will apply to kind of all online learning programs. So it would be relevant to your context as well, I hope. So what makes online learning impactful? There are four things really in our experience that it comes down to: having an engaging learning design, having interaction and collaboration in some form. Not all programs will have the same level of interaction collaboration, but allowing for some level of interaction collaboration. Building learner autonomy, and I'll come to what that is and how we do that. And then finally, communicating a sense of progress. So what you talked about, assessment, feedback, all of that kind of comes down to that, to communicating a sense of progress. So let's talk through each of these a bit more in detail. Engaging learning design. So I have a screenshot of one of the lessons from our course, English Online. So as you can see, the learning design we employ is a flipped model of learning. A flipped model of learning is when instead of using the class to deliver input, to deliver a lecture, and then assigning homework to students, we flip it over its head and get students to activate their knowledge using digital materials, online materials prior to the class, so that when they're in class, that time with the teacher and the participants can be used to apply that knowledge to develop higher order creative skills. Um, and the teacher acts more like a facilitator than delivering a lecture. So you can see here the learning design itself is in a flipped model. You've got preparation exercises before class. Then there's a communicative class that helps you build skills using the language and knowledge you've activated in the preparation exercises, and you receive feedback from the teacher. And then there are post-class exercises to consolidate learning, and the teacher also shares materials and notes from the class so students can go over what they did in class. So they don't have to actually kind of spend a lot of time making notes, but they can really be active participants interacting in class, doing their tasks in small groups or pairs, and really applying their skills. And this is how students learn most effectively, by applying language, by receiving feedback, by building their confidence and in skills. Then comes interaction and collaboration. So there are different ways in which we afford interaction and collaboration in our courses. So the first is a group class. So in my previous slide, I kind of described a group class scenario where it's a small group of maybe 10 students with a trainer, and it is an interactive class. The trainer would, after setting the context, put students into smaller groups or pairs and use breakout sessions and set them tasks to start working through that together, help build their spoken fluency, bring the groups back together into the wider group, and share learning and feedback from each other. And this allows for students to build their spoken fluency, allows them to learn from each other, allows them to um, draw from their existing knowledge and develop it further, and really apply language in real life context and receive feedback from the teacher. You can also have private one-to-one classes where the teacher can really focus on one individual student, and that student receives kind of really personalized, individualized instruction. In and it obviously would be a shorter interaction, but it would be quite intense for a student, and where there's a requirement for something very targeted, it could be exam preparation or something like that, something like this can be very effective. We also have language webinars. We call them Live 25 webinars. And these webinars are delivered to a larger number of students, and students can choose to attend a webinar on a topic, a grammar or phonology topic that they're struggling with. And the teacher delivers a session through these webinars, um, uh, providing input on a language topic. So the format is not very dissimilar to the format of today's session, where I'm delivering a structured session and providing input. And the idea of these webinars is to get that extra teacher input in an interactive scenario. So even though there isn't spoken interaction, as in students can't are not invited to speak, but they are invited to interact using chat, and they get a sense of being part of a wider student community. And then finally, we also have sharing sessions. So this is a more freestyle session where a teacher, meets a group of students, sets them, a task, a conversation topic, and instructions, and then leaves the students to basically talk about that topic with each other on their own. And this allows students to interact with each other in a more free style environment and apply what they have just completed in their class, using that topic, and develop more confidence because they're doing it without kind of the teacher hand holding them. So I've got some, comments from students about different sessions. So the first one, the class was dynamic, and I could learn so much about presentations and indirect questions. This is about kind of a group class, and what the student is talking about is how dynamic and interactive the class was, and therefore they could learn so much. It's really important that the the class is interactive, and there is plenty of time for students to talk, to do tasks and work through them, rather than just the teacher talking throughout the class. And the next one is again about a class where the student is talking about it's a business English class where they must have talked about SWOT analysis, which is a marketing topic. And they've said, I didn't expect to have fun talking about, and this is really important. Learning should never be boring, and it's really important to have well-trained teachers who can keep the class engaging and interactive and fun, so that students feel drawn in and retain more. And then this is kind of about a private session where it helps me a lot. We speak about how to analyze some feedback. So because I need it in my job, so the teacher is kind of giving them specific feedback, and the student is getting to talk to the teacher about, through that feedback, and then they're able to apply that directly to their jobs. This is kind of like a private session. And then they're talking about a Live 25 session, and they're saying how the teacher was very clear, and even though it wasn't an easy subject, um, they found that because it was well structured, they found the session useful, and they're basically asking for more such sessions, which was always a good sign. So even though Live 25 doesn't have as much interaction, it still is a useful way, especially when you have low resource contexts, you probably don't have as many teachers. It's still a useful way to provide input. And then finally, it's about sharing sessions, and they were able to discuss in smaller groups, share results of those discussions, learn from everyone. And this is what we want to kind of encourage, that students draw on their existing knowledge, they build on their existing knowledge, and they learn from everyone. Uh, Then learner autonomy. Uh, just I'm sure you know what learner autonomy is, but just to kind of establish a common definition, it is the ability to take control of one's own learning and learn independently or in collaboration with others. So when learners become in charge of their own learning, they take charge of their learning. And in an autonomous learner will take more responsibility for learning and therefore is likely to be more effective. There are plenty of studies that have been done by the British Council, by other organizations across the board on autonomous learning, and it comes out as a highly effective way of encouraging learners to have better learning outcomes and become more independent and instill 21st century skills in them, um, which again kind of makes them overall better at applying the skills they're learning. So how do we build learner autonomy? The first thing is that we have choice in our learning design throughout. So you can see here, I've got a screenshot of the masthead of our course platform, and you can see there is themes, there is a book classes section, and then there's teachers. And we allow students to book classes by themes or topics. We also show them the timetable of all the classes available for the next few weeks, so they can even choose by time. And they can also see all the teachers available, and they can even choose by teacher, and they can even favorite teachers and favorite, like put a heart and favorite a teacher and stay with one teacher, or study with multiple teachers. So we are really, even in our design of our platform, we are encouraging students to choose and choose the topics they want to study, choose the times they want to study at, because if they study at the times that that is most convenient to them, they are likely to retain more, and they're likely to be better and more attentive and more engaged. If they choose the topics that they want to focus at, they will be learning something that is extremely relevant to them, and therefore again they will be more engaged and benefit more from learning. And finally, even teachers, because if for whatever reason a student wants to try out a different teacher, or learn from one teacher over the other, they should have the choice, because because again, if they sorry, is it okay to mute yourselves? Yeah, thank you so much. So again, if you're learning from someone that appeals to you, you're going to learn better. This second is about kind of onboarding, including how-to videos and help. So to make sure that the onboarding is really systematic, the students have clear steps to onboard themselves, set their time zone, set their learning preferences. Um, and then before they start the course, they have access to how-to videos that explain to them how to navigate the course platform, how everything works. And also having a help section where they can go back later, watch videos, or read frequently asked questions, so they feel supported, and therefore they won't feel shy about you know trying different things out. And if let's say some of them are not as digitally savvy, or aren't familiar with kind of similar platforms, then they would feel more confident to start learning independently. Having an intuitive user experience, it's really, really important to use things that are easy to use. So whatever learning platform that you're using for online learning should be easy and intuitive to use, because if it's not intuitive, the user experience is not good, that's going to create mental friction, and that's going to come in the way of learning, and that's going to also knock on the learner's confidence, and they're going to be distracted and feel unsure of themselves, and not learn as well. And then finally, student support. So on our platforms, students can access our customer support, student support anytime they want by accessing live chat, or emailing and getting a response in a couple of hours. So um, so they feel scaffolded, and in support they feel that they can reach out if something goes wrong, so they're not shy about trying out things and making mistakes, and then that encourages them to just get on and do things. Yeah, so we have different elements that are intentionally designed into the course to make sure that learners learn more autonomously. And then finally, communicating a sense of progress. So you can see over here, I've got a screenshot of a topic, a theme, business, travel, and socializing. There's a set of lessons, and then there's an assessment. There's a lesson selected here, the art of networking, and there's a clear description of what the lesson covers and what the objective is. And and so just communicating very, very clearly through the platform, to the online learning platform, what is the, you know, what is the objective of each lesson, each theme, and organizing things clearly is really important. So learners can visually see how they're progressing and they're aware of what they're learning. It's really important for learners to know before they join a class, what that class is about. Then you can see at the end, there's an assessment at the end of 6 lessons. So having these micro assessments and having these micro credentials is really important, so that learners can check how they're faring at short intervals. And it helps them to assess if they're moving and progressing through the course in the manner they would like, but also it gives them a sense of progress and it gives them a sense of achievement, so they don't have to wait for a very long time, do a lot of lessons before they get a sense of, okay, this is where I'm at. And then of course certificates, badges, and micro credentials. So this is an image of a badge or a micro credential that we award at the end of every 6 lessons. And this is really important, that gone are the days where you wait for like an entire long course, that has gone over several months to complete to receive a certificate. I think there's an expectation now with online learning that uh, that you have micro credentials. So at the end of short intervals, short modules or themes, you are rewarded for completing that milestone, so that you feel that you're kind of moving forward, and it's not like an endless road. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And then finally, dashboard. So learners should have access to their own dashboard to see their progress, but this is a dashboard that I've got a screenshot here that we offer to clients, so they can see the list of their learners and how they're faring, what levels they're at, how many classes they've attended, and so on and so forth as well. And our teachers have their own dashboards where they can see the learners they're teaching and their past history and level uh, and so that they can adjust their lessons to the learners that are going to come into their class as well. So that's really important. And online, the kind of online learning does allow you to automate and provide data a lot more to all stakeholders. So that's the advantage of online as a medium, and it really helps to kind of get the most out of that. So I'm at the end of my session, but I just want to conclude by saying, as you can see, that we had identified 4 challenges and we have solutions for each of those challenges. So, we said that repacking of traditional non-interactive lecture-based approach in an online format doesn't work. So we obviously counter that by having an engaging learning design. Lack of trainer interaction and asynchronous learning doesn't work. So we can, punctuate that with interaction and collaboration. So to give another example, even in our self-study course, we offer live 25 webinars, which, so obviously the self-study course is a low cost option. It's for learners who don't want to spend so much, but by just having access to webinars which are easier to scale and deliver, They have an impetus to log in, to book their webinars, and they feel part of a learning community, which gives them that motivation to continue through the course, and they feel less lonely. And one can get kind of feel a bit lost and lonely if you're doing something completely asynchronously, completely self-study. Where varying levels of digital and study skills, making sure that there is support and you're building learner autonomy through the course helps with this, and keeps learners on track, and keeps them confident about taking charge of their learning. And then finally, motivation is linked to progress. If we're communicating a sense of progress to learners, they will continue to feel motivated and engaged, and have that impetus to continue through a long course as well. So that's the end of my session. And I think we have some time. I was wondering if there were any questions.